This show is a member of the Sorgatron Media Podcast Network. Find out more at sorgatronmedia.com. This show is brought to you by Slice on Broadway, supporting Pittsburgh podcasting with the perfect pepperoni pizza. Production services by Sidekick Media Services. And listeners like you, supporting us at patreon.com/awesomecast. It's time to get geeky, get awesome. It is the AwesomeCast, and this is a special edition. Once again, scheduling has been wonky and very busy lately, so we are going live a little bit early. I think we're live. I unconfirmed. No, we are live. Yay! There we are. We are live here on a Sunday night doing a special edition, something a little bit different once again. But it's good. We get to mix it up a little bit, kind of do a little bit of a deep dive, and we are going to be doing that again tonight. This time we had Chilla and Kraus on to talk games last time, and now we're going to do the complete opposite with Dudders this evening. On the line is the Dudders, our social media guru, photographer of Zoom cars, and and so much more, joining us tonight. And Katie, I know you're having. Oh, there's your awesome thing of the week. There it is. Duncan is my boo.
Glows in the dark.
Yeah, it goes in the dark. Oh, I didn't know. So you can find it at night.
Yes.
You can find your coffee at night. Cup. Awesome. I know you're a little under the weather this evening, so so thank you for still joining us for the recording.
You are so welcome. Glad to be here.
But I mean, it's something that it has been. Well, it's kind of taken over your life over the last 6 months, I guess. Right? Was so. And before we get into it, we're going to talk about getting fit and hitting the trails and the technology and the gadgetry and everything that goes around that. Of course, Katie's been doing this for several months. I've started it in July, kind of full on. But I've been trying to do the fitness kick for a while. Please go check out everything at AwesomeCast.com. We'll give a shout out to everybody out there. And of course, please subscribe to us wherever. And of course, we are typically on Tuesdays every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Obviously not this week. We're dropping the show a little bit earlier than usual. And just, hit play at 7 p.m. on Tuesday. It'll be just like... it'll be just like we haven't gone anywhere. And also give a shout out to our friends over at postindustrial.com, spreading the awesomeness for everybody. I'm off because it's a different night, and my brain is in AwesomeCast mode. Thank you to our Patreon supporters, patreon.com/AwesomeCast. Our friends at the executive producer level, Brian Crawford. Coffee Club level, Matt Weller, John Carmen, Cynthia Klosky, Scott McTaggart, and Mike Pound, and our friends at the Fan of the Show level, Michael Fedor, Professor Buzzkill, and Dave Potter. You guys can support the show too at patreon.com/awesomecast. So, Katie, where do you want to start? I guess we should recap what you just did and accomplished. I know we talked about it a little bit on the show previously, but for those that may be tuning in for the first time.
I was part of a group called Project Athena. And it's an organization. What they do is they take folks like me who've dealt with a health setback, in my case it was breast cancer, and sets us up on these amazing adventures, and you get to do it for free. They cover everything. They covered my flight out. They covered, where we stayed, we had a coach, we had training, and other folks are along with us on these hikes, and they pay to go on these hikes, and it supports us to go. And it's an amazing foundation and organization, and incredibly grateful for them. But I was in Zion. Sorry, I'm gonna not East Coast this. Yeah. Zion.
Yeah, we just said you're yinsing it up and didn't know it. You said.
And the funny thing is like Zion sounds more yinzery than Zion, but that's what it was. So Zion did over 2 days, 45-ish miles. That is something like we laugh about. It's 45-ish because they're like, how much further would you go? Like this many-ish. And so we got a sticker.
There's a sticker. This is 45-ish. That's fantastic. That's great.
We got all kinds of cool stuff. But yeah, so we did 45-ish miles over 2 days, waking up at 1 a.m. And we were out hiking by 3:30 in the morning. First day was 3:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Second day was 3:30 a.m. till I think around 1:30 p.m. But that we were getting up early because, well, one of the temperature out there, and also the amazing sunrises you get to see from the second day from up on the rim of Zion, like, and it was amazing to just see the sun come up with you. And the first day it was fun to just like watch the sun kind of just appear over the valley, which was really really neat. It was just like this golden thing, and being able to see the stars in complete darkness in the middle. I mean, I have cell phone pictures that I was just like blop blop go, and you can see stars, and that's nothing we get to experience out here for sure.
Wow. It sounds like it was a really cool experience. I mean, we've been on the edge of it, of course, with some of our travels to Arizona lately, but still was cloudy. We really couldn't see anything, even though it was a dark sky city, we realized in Tucson. So, of course, this has been a big endeavor for you. And as, most of us on the show, we're usually looking for gadgets and tech and that's going to help us along the way. There was actually a little bit of a training regimen that you went through that I believe this was recommended by the project itself, correct?
Correct. Yeah, we had a coach that we had a whole setup. We used oh gosh, I haven't even pulled it up in so long. Training Peaks was the actual application we used on our app on our computer application we were using on both our phones and on our desktops to essentially we were able to access the particular workout we were supposed to have that day, and within it was like telling us what we were doing, if we were taking an off day, and then each time we were pairing it up with a workout on our watches, and that was tracking the information from what we were doing and so uploading it automatically up into Training Peaks, and our coaches were able to see where we're at, maybe where we're struggling, what we're seeing, what we're doing really well, and if there's a suggestion but this was great. I got a year of Training Peaks because you lose some of the the bells and whistles when you don't when you go for the free version, but I did the year-long subscription because I can copy and paste any of these workouts, and going forward, like if I'm like, what, because I've taken a couple weeks off to just kind of recover from a lot, and it was definitely really hard on the body, and just giving myself time to like recover and try to catch up with sleep, lol. And once I get back into this, I'm going to want to do these workouts again, so I can just literally go back in and like, oh, I like this workout, copy paste, and I could put it in, like 3 days a week I want to do a solid workout. Maybe I don't want to work out 6 days a week, 3 or 4 days a week is plenty for me, and I can copy these workouts and try to hit my goals again, and it tracks your heart rate and how hard your body is working, and you'll get new heart rate thresholds, and to let like your heart's doing much better, which was, I think, one of the coolest things to see was like watching my heart rate as I was training, and like things I was walking up, for example, I was going up to Mount Washington, going up McCardle, and that hill, if you've ever been up that way, it's a brutal hill to get up to Mount Washington.
I'm always worried driving it with my car if I'm going to make it.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, it's terrifying, and you hope everybody's paying attention to you. But you go up underneath the inclines. I mean, it's a cool view, and it's a fun way to see the city. And one of the last workouts where I was doing hills, I did that, and I was like from the bottom to the top, didn't break stride, and like my heart rate barely got up there because my body was so conditioned because of these workouts of tracking and seeing, and getting into these fat burning or cardio zones. It was great to see, and it was really, really, like I said, I would definitely keep up. I mean, as much as Training Peaks, you get annoyed with technology not being 100%. But I definitely really liked it as far as tracking things, and you could track additional things that beyond what we did.
And it's nice you can quantify that, because I know in my own kind of fitness journey since July, like I'm finding myself like, oh, I did my 2 miles and didn't even notice it. Right, like it's getting so like easy to kind of get along there, But to be able to say like, it's just something you notice every once in a while versus you can actually look at something and say, oh, hey, this is actually doing better here, things like that. The closest I think I have is the all the updates to the Apple Health and the newer watch and everything. There are trends in there I'm noticing, and now I have the newer watch that does like the blood oxygen, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to dive too much into that just yet. But every once in a while I get a notification that says, hey, your blood, like I got one a few days ago, says, hey, your blood oxygen level is doing pretty good. It was like, oh, okay. I guess that's good, And again, you're not diving into it or stuff. But again, it seems like this is a little more fine-tuned for that.
Yes, like this is getting more into it. Like you can get very much like if you were like I want to track a certain thing, like how am I doing when I'm doing this particular exercise, and it'll compare it over time, and you can get graphs and like there's things in there that are well beyond my scope of like any sort of fitness journey that somebody would absolutely geek out over. And
I imagine, well, I'm sorry, I imagine this is more for and with like higher tier athletes than you and I are going to be, right? So I mean, you were obviously.
I don't know about you.
Listen, you're the one that did 40 miles on a mountain, but I mean, like like high runners and sports athletes and things like that. I feel like it's more tuned for that idea, than like I'm just trying to get a little more fit, right? So, but no, perfect for what you were doing, like, or a major goal, like I want to literally climb a mountain, because that is a full on, you need to condition for that. That's not just I'm hitting the treadmill every day and hope for the best, kind of thing. So,
and even if you're an athletic trainer, there's two different modes. It's either trainer mode or I forget, it's not student, but we're going to go with student for right now. But as a trainer, you could input a schedule for whoever you're working with, and they will see it on their end. That's what happened with us, is our trainers would put in the schedule and they were able to see more information on their side of things. So if you're working with clients you want to, work out with, we know personal trainers. This was Training Peaks was a great way to do that, where they were able to track what we were doing, plus give us our workouts, and you can edit them or just kind of copy paste and be like, you know what, every week I want you doing this, and then it would show up, and every week it would be there.
Excellent. So this is what kind of got you to the because I know as we were traveling or even here, you would talk about like, well, I have to do an hour of stairs, I have to do 4 miles, I have to do 6 miles, I have to do this with the pack and everything. Was that a mixture of like, was that all through the program in the app, or
all through Training Peaks? Yeah, that was all of our, like, we'd have notes, like in the notes of the workout, it would say specifically, for example, we might have to do a mile, 20 minutes under, for each mile, they had me under 20 minutes, or we had to have our weighted pack, and like what that weight was, like 14, 16, 18, 20, whatever the weight was that they want us to have in our packs to get us used to it. Because I definitely I noticed when we were hiking, that I if something was off with my pack, I knew how to adjust it, because I had been in the situation with my pack for so many, we had become BFFs at that point. Every part of your equipment becomes, you become one with your equipment, that you realize, okay, this isn't right, so I just need to adjust this weight. Or, if I was getting tired, I would just shift the weight from like my shoulders to maybe my, the strap here or across my waist. So that was a really cool part of the training too.
Excellent. So what else did you get into that helped you kind of along the way?
Well, let's see what helped me. My Apple Watch it became it just worked a little bit better with Training Peaks. I was originally using a Fitbit, and it was not all the information, at least the level of Fitbit that I had, was not sending the correct information, because Training Peaks plays, but they'll flat out say they play better with certain equipment, like Garmin 100%, Apple 100%. Fitbit, So I ended up switching, and it worked out really well. Like I said, the information was great. Something else, as an Apple human, and I'm going to pick up my bag, and you're going to hear this, and you're going to be like, oh, I know this noise. Oh, wait, it might behave today. So within my pack, I knew going into this that my phone was going to be in airplane mode, because I knew it was going to, while we're hiking, that it was going to just, as I was going, and I didn't want to kill the battery, because you have no signal out there, because you're in the middle of Zion. And I didn't, but I wanted to give away for, my mom and folks back home to like be able to see that I was still moving, not necessarily that I, would figure out where I was, but she's still moving up there. So within my pack is, I love this, that I have 3 air tags in this pack. that never figured out that they were all like working for the same cause, because
Yeah.
I just picked this up a minute ago, and it was like, hey, you got an air tag in here, and I'm like, oh, thanks. There's like, because I have one to keep an eye on my keep an
Yeah.
eye on my pack for me personally, and then there's like the M for mom.
And we should qualify.
Then,
So you have one of those synced to your mother's phone, right? And 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 plus one for you to track the pack. But then so they could track you.
And then Aaron got one. So like I had to label them because I was like, who's who?
And so why? And again, how did we arrive at using Apple tags instead of just sharing your iPhone, Find My iPhone situation?
They both have Find My iPhone. They can find me at any point.
Right.
Where's she at? What you doing? Where's she at? If you really want to find me, you can. They can. But my phone was in airplane mode, and the AirTag was the best thing about the AirTag is the AirTag does not require my phone to help with location, like base tracking, and so like if somebody else, maybe Verizon at a certain spot, like the signal was hot garbage. But it was great for T-Mobile or Sprint or, whatever particular brand of cell phone you had. As long as somebody's phone was on at some point, it was bouncing off my AirTag was bouncing off using their signal to like bounce off and like send back a signal to Apple World.
So and again, you were in a group of people, so you were also depending on those phones picking up on those AirTags and sending the signal back for location, not just so really this was just another layer of reassurance since you were going so far out into the cut.
Yeah, and you knew I was still moving.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Exactly.
You couldn't tell exactly where I was. I mean, you could see where I was. Like you could, if you've ever used an AirTag before, you can see some pretty quality detail. But when you're where we were, it didn't really matter. It was just like, oh, mountain.
yeah, a little less to triangulate out there with everything, I'm sure. So, no, that's very cool. Very, very cool. So what are you going to do with those extra AirTags now?
So they currently still live in my bag. So
okay.
The one for me will live there. Everything we own gets an AirTag. Every piece of our luggage gets an AirTag. Every part of my camera, I feel like it's an AirTag anymore.
Yep.
So it'll get moved over to something else. It always gets good use, and as long as I'm still hiking, I'll probably leave them in there. And also, I can put myself in airplane mode without having to worry about like even around here, because there's been moments where I have put my phone in airplane mode. And I've taken a fall because I'm in airplane mode. No one has noticed because I'm in airplane mode and my watch has not sent that information. But if by chance I would take a fall and I would go down a hillside and they were like, we haven't heard from her for hours, that's where that's where we should look. I'm betting she's down there with her bag over this hillside. But so it's definitely an appreciative added safety measure, even back home. Like because like I said. You hit spots around here without any sort of signal, specifically for Verizon, and like like this like I said, the AirTags are dependent on somebody has a signal somewhere usually.
Another thing I know you were using this a bit, finding trails to do your walks, especially when we were traveling. All Trails was one that you introduced me to.
Yeah. All Trails.
I live on that thing now. I just live in that app these days. So I even today I found myself on the other side of town and I had never done Frick Park before, and I didn't realize how complicated that area is, and I'm glad I had it.
Oh yeah, because you think you're like, oh, I know this area, and you're like, no, I don't know this area.
No.
Yeah, and it's been great because I upgraded back in May when I went to Hocking Hills. That was the first time that I was went for the paid version of All Trails, because I knew I was not going to have signal, and I wanted to be able to download every type of map if I needed it. And it also it helps if you're that's another safety thing beyond because you think you're oh, I always have cell phone signal. That's not true.
Nope.
Nope. You're cell phone signal everywhere. No.
Sometimes just walking in city trails you have a problem with it, let alone the mountains, right? But it is nice not be dependent on it, and it's got some nice features. And again, it's just I'm not somebody who's done trails, and so this was new, and to be able to like twice today I was on the wrong trail. But it's like, oh, I just need to connect up here, and it's not perfect, obviously, but it's a nice, at least, guide to figure out what you're doing, right?
Yeah, and I've learned it's with our dependence on technology, you forget how to read a map.
Mm-hmm.
And like that was huge for me in doing a lot of these hikes was like I downloaded the maps and I would get kind of strayed from the map, you know, even if up at like McConnell's Mills and things like that you would think that you were in a spot and you're like, wait a minute, I'm over here. This is where I need to go. How do I get there? And like there was the feeling of accomplishment when you're like, oh wait, I can read a map now and I can get myself back to where I need to go.
Mm-hmm.
Along with, I think the other big thing that I always appreciated about, or I appreciate about all trails, is the comments about the particular trail, because you might find out that a section is like, I know in McConnell's Mill or up in Hocking Hills, there was a trail that was like, you will try to go from like this letter to this letter, but that letter has been washed away by the rain. So don't look for that one, look for this. And it was like, that was a lifesaver.
Oh. Why is it stuck on that? That's not what I'm seeing. I'm sorry. With the video, it says, "Do you love all trails? Yes and no." But that's not what's on my screen right now.
No, all
that's
trails.
Really weird. No, all trails. No. All right, we'll see if we can get that to come back. But anyways, no, it's fantastic for that, and it does like. Because you'll see pictures of the nice parts of the trail, but sometimes it'll be like, this is a street for most of it, or something like that, right? It's not a trail, and it's this and that, and there's lots of routes or something like that, right? It kind of gets you a little bit ready for that. I did not read the comments before I went out to the park today. I was like, oh, this is a lot more than I expected. So, but yeah, that's been a fantastic one for me. That's been, especially as you know, and you've been traveling as well. Being able to kind of discover what's around you, that's worthwhile, because you don't want to just wander off in the woods and hope for the best.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you have something like that, and you know, it's really good for that discovery. I can't believe the stuff that I've found, from literally from California to here. I've just found some amazing trails just in the last like 2 months. I can't wait till we get into like full travel season here in the spring like we usually do. Right?
Yeah.
Like there's gonna be
an awesome place.
Yeah.
And it makes you appreciate your city. Like being in Pittsburgh, there would be nights where I'll be like, I don't have time to drive, out here to a certain location, but I had to have a certain amount of mileage with a certain amount of elevation change. Mm-hmm. And I'd be like, I don't have time to go here because I have to work today and blah, blah, blah. And and finding like the Emerald View Trail was a big one for me, because the elevation gain on that is great. It was exactly what I needed for a lot of hikes.
Is it? It's something.
That is one, especially if you've never done it, even if you do it all the time, you should probably pay attention to that trail, because there's a couple ways that I'm like, this isn't right.
No, absolutely. And for me, like, my thing, the big sticking point for me is like, I need a 2-mile trail every day, right? Or 2 miles every day. So, I only have so much time before you have to check out the hotel or whatever that's going on, right? I need something I'm not going to get lost, and it adds that confidence factor. Sometimes I've done the dirt simple trails. Like we were in South Bend, and I did one where we crossed a bridge, and it was just mostly kind of along the side of a wooded area, kind of in residential. And I was like, you know what? It's a walk. I'm outside. That's fine. So like, again, it adds that confidence other than having to really kind of research and figure it out. Because the first time I went, it was just kind of on my own, and I discovered there was an app for the Park Service in Allegheny County, which was great, but it's not like the city parks, that's the ones out in Settlers Cabin or like North Park probably or something, right? But no, All Trails has been really, really great for that. So I paid for it as well. I think it's about $80 a year. If you're using it, you're gonna be okay with that.
I would pay attention. I think on like Black Friday they have good sales.
Ooh.
They're one of the that's been something like even with apps. Like I'm shocked how many apps have Black Friday sales for apps. And like they'll be like, hey, by the way, you can get this, and I'm like, I can't remember how much I paid for All Trails, but I don't think it was that much.
Maybe I'm confusing it with another one. It might have been my Fitness Power or something like that too. So.
That might have been, because those ones tend to be a little bit more expensive.
Yeah.
Like I think even Trading Peaks, I forget how much it was. It was not like it wasn't super expensive, like when you break it out, especially monthly. But like,
Well, if you
like,
compare it to like a gym membership, I mean,
yeah,
it kind of works out, right? And again, it's how much you're dedicating to this. Some people. Oh, I'm sorry. It was only $35.99. That was definitely not the $80 one. Let's see what the $80 one was. Yep, that was my Fitness Pal. So
that makes sense.
I've been a little bit subscription crazy. That is actually the most expensive subscription I have, is that one. And yet we're canceling AccuWeather after that last update. But anyways, oh, that reminds me, I gotta get AppleCare on my watch before I forget. Oops. But anyways, I mean, again, like the features, you don't have to like fuss around it with it. Anything else? I mean, you've had so many gadgets and water bottles, and you showed me a rocker thing to help stretch my hammies.
Yeah, that was a big win for me too. It was like that. Now I'm like, what was that thing called again? But it was the Pro Stretch original calf stretcher and foot rocker. And like that was a big game changer even for me, like for how much like I was, once in the morning or once before bed and before after hikes. It was like, wow, I didn't realize like how, when everything was so tight in the back of my leg, like how much it impacted like my knees and quads and everything else in between.
No, absolutely. That's been a big one. So now it's one more thing I have to throw in my suitcase. Oh,
Yeah.
I unplugged it. I unplugged the show all trails. We'll get that back up there. But it's like a $20 piece of plastic and makes like all the difference in the world. There we go. There it is. So
Yay.
yeah. So I mean, you do some exercises on it real quick, and yeah, it makes all the difference. That and having a jacuzzi in your hotel, that's been something
That's great.
very beneficial lately. So trying to take advantage of the jacuzzis that I'm always seem to be around and never have time to do. But anyways, anything else that kind of got you through it?
I was shocked about, and I wish I had. I'm going to send you. I'm going to give you this link right now. This was actually the shorts that I ended up hiking in. There we go. Now it's a clickable link. They're from Amazon. They're women's lightweight hiking cargo shorts. They come in a men's version too, and they're UPF 50, so they protect against the sun, and also they had zipper pockets, which was huge for me. They were drawstring, and they like if you got them wet, they were dry. They dried so quickly, it was shocking. Like, and I never felt sweaty in them. But these ended up like it took me a minute to figure out what I was going to actually like. Finally, what was going to actually what my hiking outfit was going to be. And I had been hiking in capris, but my capris have the elastic at the base, like underneath the knee, and which was okay for shorter distances. But going this like 20 plus miles a day, I knew I needed something like this, and where the leg was open and loose. And I love these things. Like I hiked in those, and they were so lightweight, and like the drawstring was huge, and also like it's probably not so much something you've ever run into, but like being super sweaty and wearing my capris that I was like peeling down and then like trying to pull back up like it was a freaking swimsuit. Those shorts never was an issue. Like I never felt like, oh, my shorts are so sweaty, I have to peel them back up after I just pee on the side of the trail.
Trying to find
But you learn how to do that very quickly. You're like,
yes.
Oh, okay, cool. We're just doing this. All right, cool.
This is how we roll. All right.
Yeah, because it's funny because people will be like, oh, but because you really can't do that where we live because there's so many bathrooms available, along the way that people would be very like, what you doing?
I was actually I visited Chachi before I went on my hike, and he's like, "You're going in those?" I just had like black jeans on. I'm like, I got shorts on underneath, and he's like, "Here, take these." So this is men's hiking pants. Again, quick dry and all that kind of stuff, and of course they're the zip off legs and everything too. So he threw those at me today. They're we'll put the link in the chat, of course, because we just said, hey, they're shorts, Yeah. But again, something like men's hiking pants, it's quick dry, lightweight. Fishing pants, they're labeled as. But yeah, something like that you really do need for something like travel, And as things are getting cooler, and I've been amazed. I don't know if you've had this too, because I've always been somebody who, oh, it's under 70 degrees. I'm going to go outside. I'm going to get my ass sick. Okay. But then, like, I can't remember which one it was. But whatever it was like, it is 56 degrees. I'm going out in shorts and a t-shirt and doing a 2-mile walk, and I was fine. Like, I feel like that is something that, like, personally, I never thought my body would do that without being sick the next day, and I don't know if it's, because the change over the last couple months or something like that. And I did the same thing today, although it was a little chilly. I did throw a second t-shirt back on because most of the trail was shaded today, so that was not okay. And it was only like 59 degrees most of the time I was out there, but it was great in the sun. It was comfortable in the sun, of course, but you're moving and everything, right? So and also, I've been like, should I have long pants on this trail? I don't know if I'm walking through grass, or if the trail is going to be, growing in on itself, and it's a thin trail, and you got to look out for ticks and everything, right? So that's been a kind of a debate I've had. But to have like a light pants like this for when you're unsure would be really beneficial for something like that, right? Now I don't wear pants. You don't wear pants, no.
Capris is the limit on things.
You have capris and high, brightly colored socks, so people can see you in the woods.
Not on purpose.
What's
Not on purpose. Not for that part. No. But no, I don't wear pants. I don't like to hike in pants. If I don't run, I don't run in pants either.
I've been concerned with it too. Yeah, I don't. It doesn't feel like it would be right, but I may have to get some hiking pants like this too. So, but I made a mistake today. I went for my walk. I wore my some shorts I've had for a while that had classically been terribly tight on me. Like I definitely got the wrong size, right? For whatever size I used to be. And I went walking today, and I'm like, I'm losing my pants most of this trail. So the other reason to put the second shirt on was so I can tuck one and have a layer and keep it up. So I'm like, thankfully, and it was a busy trail. So I'm just like, is anybody around here you're hiking your stuff up and making sure you're not? Yeah. So, but I mean, that's part of it, right? I guess I've been successful if these pants are not fitting me. This is a one act, this is a shirt I never would have worn and be comfortable. So like, and it's just been 2 months of just walking 2 miles. And you know who I have to thank for that part? Kraus. Because he said, you walk every day, I do this every day. And I'm just like, okay, what's my version of this, right? Because you need to adapt for what works for you. Right. And 2 miles is like a number I could wrap my head around. And that is the sticking point, much like in early podcasting days, it was like, listen, every Tuesday I'm going to do a podcast, no ifs, ands, or buts. And here we are almost 2 decades later. Like what can click? And that's how I work. Everybody's going to be different for something like that. You had an accomplishment. I'm going to climb a mountain, and I don't want to die.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and if I did 2 miles a day, I would not have the results that you have because of numerous factors, including being a female sometimes in this regard. Because like it's in like my particular like the menopausal stuff with the side effects of the chemo and the cancer or the medication and stuff. Like it doesn't work that way. Like your body doesn't work that way. Like
right. I was just having a conversation with somebody. That they ran every day and had no results, started walking and they started having results, and oh yeah, and then somebody else is doing the exact same thing as him and they're not having, like, everybody is different, right? Somebody can do the exact same thing I'm doing, do the exact same thing you're doing, and that's like, it's, we found a thing that clicks for us. It's not, you're going to try different things until you're like, okay, this is affecting my body, right? And you get to a certain point where I know I'm going to plateau at some point. I'm about like 20 pounds down. Like it's going to slow down at some point. I know that. And then that's when you start looking, okay, what's the next thing I need to do to, you start hacking your body. I've heard some say.
I think that's fun.
Yeah. You're just like, when you start like taking that and you have all the data, because I'm sorry, I'm having COVID brain. We've turn our lives into data. We're there's a better word for it that's escaping me at the moment. Somebody's yelling at me in podcast land. But you can look at that and actually say, okay, move those levers here and there. I used to listen to Kevin Rose, and they would do the body hacking, but it was like kind of with like microdosing LSD and fasting and things like that. That gets a little too wonky for me. Good for them. They can afford the doctors to figure that out when they have Google money. But for you and me, it's like I can drop the $80 on an app for a year or $35 on a Trail app and see what happens. So I think that's really big, for me. And I know for me, it's been like diet as well. The MyFitnessPal has helped me see what is happening, and how much I'm ingesting. And then I'll put something in, plug it in, and I'm like, oh my God, that's my entire day. Is that shake? What have I been doing to myself?
Or even fluid intake. Like I didn't, like for me, that was a big deal to me. Like as I was learning, like I would be hiking and I would be exhausted. Like I'd be like, I'm running out of steam. I can't do this, blah, blah, blah. And then I would switch from water to, I use liquid IV for my electrolytes. And I would just drink a bunch of that. And I'd be like, well, there we go. And that was the thing. Was like, that was what I was missing, was like that portion of my, like the water wasn't enough at that point, like where I needed the sodium, the sugar, and all that stuff. And that was like, it like, I was shocked. Like every time it happened, it was like, oh, this is amazing. I forgot that this did this.
I think I told you about like how many times I'll be like hit the certain point in the day and I'm just like, I'm having the worst day. I hate everything. And there's like, oh, you haven't eaten. Or you didn't eat adequately or something, and you go grab a sandwich and it's just like, oh, I'm good, let's go. That's like, oh no, I was just crashing, so and I mean we're our bodies are changing, this time of year. You probably more drastically with everything that's going on, obviously, but
changes.
Yes, exactly. So I mean, and that's part of I mean, I know you've talked about like your journey and kind of how did you not retaking your body, but
taking it back.
Taking it back, your body, but also you're learning what the new body is that you've ended up with, right? So it's just a fascinating thing, and what an endeavor to see how far we can push this thing.
That's what it was. And like it's so funny because like ask my mom when I first told her I was going to do that. She's like, she's not really going to do that. And I was like, I signed up for it. And she's like, oh my gosh, I hope she doesn't do this. Like, I don't think she can do this. And I was like, I could do this. And then I started training and I'm like, what am I thinking? But like, that's how we live our lives.
Yep.
I'm like, all right, guess we're doing this. Like that's like my life motto.
Like when seeing getting back to the hotel room after Katie and I have walked for at least a couple of miles on a dusty, dirty track, and she's like, I still got to do like 2 hours of steps, and she freaking does it, and that's the thing, and you didn't back down from it. Maybe you moved and it's like, okay, we can move this and do a rest day here or whatever, but like you got it done, either way, and that's remarkable. And I hope people, I hope that clicks somebody out there into like, okay, like it did me, where it's like, okay. And I think that support system too. You, Kraus, Podner are my kind of guiding lights in this. And again, this thing here with the Apple Watch, and I'm getting all like, Dave got like 3 awards today about an hour ago, by the way, because, he's the marathon runner. So, and I'm not looking to do that anytime soon, but still like, it's something to strive for, it's like, if I keep pushing this thing, step by step, maybe one day I'll sign up for the Pittsburgh Marathon or something, right? And feel a little more confident about being able to do it or something like that. So
I think having the data
and
like being able to see the hard numbers of like, you kind of like, we don't start out like being in this kind of shape, there's like the slow climb. And like being able to see that little bit of a difference in the beginning is such a big deal. Like where you're seeing, like seeing how you're, oh, I did this much this time. And I did this mile in less than, 20 minutes or 25 minutes. And like next time I'm down to 20 and next time I'm down to this, and like being able to like see this in a way that, cause like you feel things are different in your body, but sometimes you need that like hard, cold like data, those facts in front of you to really appreciate like how far you've come.
Quantified self. That's the term I was looking for.
You did it.
And it's a big thing. I put this. I got a little hokey today on Twitter, but I was doing the frickin', and this happened to me on a couple of trails where like you're walking, and don't realize you just climbed a mountain, and then look out and you're seeing the tops of trees. Right.
Yeah.
Like you take, and I feel like you take a step and then you look back and it was like, oh God, I lost 20 pounds, oh, my shirts fit different. Oh no, this stuff doesn't fit anymore. Like something like that. Or I'm not winded climbing this mountain anymore, or the stairs, or, getting up to get a drink, something like that, that's really important. So, and also your goals. Like I'm not looking to get, bathing suit weather kind of thing, right?
Flexing, you're like,
yeah, right. I'm not in a wrestling ring in spandex, and have to get ready for that. But still, it's just, for me, it's just I want to feel better, right? I don't really have a weight goal other than, well, if I work out, it's going to go away, right? And if I feel better, whatever I'm doing to feel better is also going to take care of the stuff that's detrimental to my body, right? And I think that's the thing, and kind of discovering that and kind of thing. Or we would do these jobs. One of the big motivators for me, working out, I've talked to you about this, is what we go through on the Baja and the formula stuff. Not having to feel wrecked for a week, not needing a week to recover, not shooting ringside at a wrestling show or an MMA show and need an entire day to recover, having my back hurt through most of those events and having to suck it up for 3 hours, right? In pain, right? That's the thing, is to fortify yourself to be able to do more things that you love. That's been a main initial motivator for me right there.
That's awesome. So, and you're killing it. You're killing it every day you're out there. It's awesome.
Thank you. So, anyways, Katie, of course, your journey is over on Instagram, Kate Marie PGH over there. A lot of great stuff. Can people generally follow you on trails? I know not everything you want to go public on when we get to fitness and stuff like that, right? So I know, we had a discussion about that, right? It's like close friends. I don't know,
It's so funny, like the things that I have that are part of my fitness journey and are not part of
What is that?
This is gel pepper spray.
Oh, okay. Oh, good. Thank you for qualifying that, because on first glance it looks like something wildly different.
Nope. But yeah, so we've been getting to experience the what to keep safe and how to keep safe while doing the things.
And of course, you have a different me. I'm like, maybe I shouldn't have my headphones on so the bikes don't hit me when on the trail. And of course, I have many colors. If you want look at, is that like, it looks like you're ready for both sides of a it's a boy, it's a girl announcements.
Yes, seriously, I do.
Which color am I going to pepper spray you with?
I wanted purple, but they didn't have purple, and I had to get.
So you had the two colors that mix purple.
Yeah, right. If anyone comes at me, they're getting both, so I can get the purple.
Well, if you same hand, move it around really fast, and it'll turn purple, right? So. Thank you, Katie, for joining us. I think this has been a fun conversation. Again, hopefully inspire somebody. And again, I think it's if you're a data geek, I think the idea of hacking your body in the safe way is like so much more possible today, and I hope that kind of helps. Thank you so much, Katie, for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me.
And you guys, we'll be back again next week. For the foreseeable future, I'm hoping we will be live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Thank you for bearing with us. We've been doing a departure from the format the last couple of weeks. And if you have any ideas, because we'll be doing this again around Christmas. Of course, we'll do the year-end predictions and look backs and everything like that. But what do you want us to? What kind of deep dives do you want us to do? Hit us up at AwesomeCast@SorgatronMedia.com, at AwesomeCast on the Twitter, of course, and we'll get the conversation going and have some fun with that. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. You have been our awesome audience. Go have an awesome hike or something, huh? show is a member of the Sorgatron Media Podcast Network. Find out more at sorgatronmedia.com.